All right. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to the broadcast. We have a fun, exciting episode for you today, possibly a two-parter.
We're doing something a little bit different.
Yes.
Most people do unboxing videos. We are doing an unbagging
Bagging
video.
We went to our local library's book sale. I picked up the romance grab bag for $1.
That is a bag full of books for $1. Teenage me would be squeeing right about now.
I would have lost my mind.
I know. That much reading material for a buck.
For $1.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
So, adult me was also squeeing, but for totally different reasons. Well, for one thing, the look on my husband's face. I bought one the other day, which is over here. We've already gone through it, but that'll come back up. This one is just now fresh, unspoiled.
It is fresh, unspoiled, with no eye tracks.
It's a little heavy, so it popped open as we carried it because there's a lot of books in it. I think Amy knows her audience.
She does.
So, the librarian at our little library here, who, if any of you follow the North Texas Troublemakers, will know about her from the Haunted Library anthologies.
Yes.
She's the brains behind that, which was a very unique fundraiser for the local library here, where they actually got people like myself and I believe you did as well,
Yep,
to contribute stories to this anthology, and they have raised well over $1,000 for the library with those anthologies.
That's wonderful.
It was a marvelous idea. But she was telling me that the problem is that when they do these book sales, they get a lot of donated romance novels and mystery novels.
Yes.
So those are the two largest genres for sales, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
And they get a lot of duplicates where they'll get a dozen copies of one book, and
right.
as much as they'd like to keep some of them, like they don't have that space. So
yeah, so romance novels are then a problem for them to deal with, which is why they created the grab bags of books for $1, because somebody's going to get a screaming deal on reading material, and the library doesn't have to deal with storing them.
And
someone's
we
taking
get
a peek.
We get an opportunity.
So the reason I bought it was for research, because my husband looked at me and he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "It's for research, because I want to start writing some romance under my open pen name." And so I need to learn the beats. Now, Courtney's the expert when it comes to this.
I've read a lot and I've written a lot, and I could break down the formula for lots of tropes just for how they're supposed to go together.
And
so
I've read a crap ton of these.
You have a few years on me, so you've probably read more than I have.
Well, when I worked in a bookstore way back in the dark ages of time in my 20s, when there was no internet and you could not order internet, we had ladies who came in who would buy all of the Silhouette books for the month. They were subscription ladies, and they were the bread and butter money for the store. So of course my boss was like, "You need to read these to understand what the different genres are," and I was like, okay. And it was like, wow, this is like cotton candy reading.
Yeah.
You know, but after about 5 of them, and then 6, the 6th one sounds like the first one, and the 7th one sounds like the second one, and after a while the formula becomes really obvious.
Yeah.
So
when I was recovering from having my first child, the local bookstore would do those for $1. These books.
Oh yeah.
And so I could go and I could read 2 or 3 in a day.
Yeah.
So
they're fluffy and they're fun.
Yeah, they're fluffy and they're fun. I didn't have to engage my brain because I had postpartum baby brain.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, this is fun and light and fluffy, and then happy ending, and then okay, next book. I have no idea what's in it, but I know it's going to be fun and light and fluffy, and it's going to have a happy ending.
Right.
And that's all I wanted.
Yeah. And isn't it also the largest segment of publishing?
Billion with a B. Dollar industry.
$1 billion industry. So knowing more about this is not a bad thing.
Not at all.
If you want to write in this category.
Absolutely.
Because you must know the beats. You might have to hit the beats, or it doesn't. The romance readers won't like it.
Right.
And but on the other hand, if you use those beats in other genres, they can still be useful, but sometimes the readers there won't like it. So knowing the beats helps you to not go the wrong way with something, or to go the right way, depending on how you're going to market.
It really depends. And honestly, a lot of the basic human interaction in romance novels works in any genre.
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely.
any genre. And romance
that's why
beats
romance is so popular.
right. And romance beats in another genre if you know, because there's the meet cute. Okay, well that's where something blows up when somebody meets somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can throw it in an action thriller. You can throw it in sci-fi. You can throw it in a bunch of other things, and you'll get if you put it as like a subplot, it'll feel new and refreshing to people who read that genre and aren't familiar with the beats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the plan is I'm going to be Vanna White.
Yes.
Because hair. Also, not a writer. And I will be pulling out a book showing you the fabulous cover.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ladies will probably grab it from me and decide that they want to run with that particular book. Or read the steamy back cover and tell you what kind of trope it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just give general analysis as we go through this really fascinating.
Yes,
bag.
because I find romance novel covers very interesting from a marketing standpoint, because you can often tell a lot about the book without ever reading a word.
Mm-hmm.
And the era.
Yes, because there are very distinct patterns for certain genres and decades.
Yeah, like my era was Fabio on every cover, in every conceivable of shirt and shirtless possible, with every waterfall and every orchid. So, no, you think I'm kidding?
Oh no,
no, I'm laughing because orchids are one of those universal symbols for sex, and the funny thing is that the name orchid comes from the pseudobulbs, which look like testicles, orchis. But the flowers
Orchiectomy
look like the female anatomy.
And they call it an orchiectomy
They
later.
do. So orchids
that.
are the ultimate romance novel symbol of both male and female.
Yeah,
and the same thing.
Shall we dig in?
Oh yes.
Dun, ta-da! Oh my god.
Oh,
all right.
That one's different.
We'll start with this one.
Oh, okay.
That was definitely a modern novel.
Up for grabs. Which one of you is going for it?
Okay. So,
want to read the steamy back stuff?
Are you ready for this? So it looks, you think it's a modern novel, yes? Willow is at a crossroads. After caring for her father during his final days, she comes home from her flat in London wondering what's next. Whether it's traveling to some exotic location or starting her career in fashion, the only thing she is certain of is that she wants to finally experience the love she reads about in books. When a fluke change in the weather brings a sexy stranger into her life, she decides to throw caution to the wind and take her chances on love, which brings her to Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, so we're going from London to Memphis, and I wasn't wrong about the flag in that background, because I was like...
Okay. Seeing her happily ever after in front of her, Willow is thrown for a loop when she finds out she isn't the only one vying for the woman she knows is the one for her.
Oh, so this isn't very non-traditional
Yes.
then. So.
Now,
twist.
Now standing in unfamiliar territory, Willow prepares for the fight of her life. The fight to win the heart of the woman she loves from the woman who held the heart to begin with.
Which is interesting because I'm looking at it, and what's something I didn't realize at first about the cover, because I was looking more at the model and the flag behind it, but that font is very non-traditional for romance, because it's, as you'll see as we go through there, most romance fonts are not sans serif or that like plain. That's a font that I would be comfortable using for like science fiction or an action thriller. The other thing is that author's name is very obviously a pseudonym.
Yes.
And while romance authors frequently use pseudonyms, I mean a lot of them, it normally not that level of pseudonymic.
Yes, and this is also
which I'm guessing is because it's a sapphic
urban romance.
Urban romance, which means the characters are black.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
In romance, and only in romance, putting urban in the genre means it's featuring a black character.
Really?
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Iconography I was unaware of.
Which is why it's funny when people go, "I write urban fantasy romance." No, you don't.
Because that word means something else when it applies to romance. Interesting. Good to know.
Wow,
too.
that's a bit of information I had no idea about.
Right.
So, but it's actually it comes from So the first self-publishers, the first self-publishers in romance were actually Black women,
Yeah.
because the traditional romance
Yeah, it wasn't
publishers
there.
would not publish
not there.
Black stories.
Right.
So they would start their own publishing companies, and so a lot of the successful romance authors now are actually basing their business models on Black women from the 80s and 90s.
Oh, how
Which is
cool is
awesome.
that?
So
Because
right,
I mean, it was
So
this
cool.
completely underserved market. Of there was an era
Absolutely,
when you
yeah.
just didn't find Black romances at all, and there was no reason for it other than that wasn't what the publishing houses were putting out.
so
I
they're
love that they made their own niche.
And then so a lot, and then out of that you get the ghetto romances, which couldn't be which as they became more popular could not be marketed as ghetto romances, because it is literally people from the gangbangers. It's like it's the motorcycle clubs and the gangbang clubs.
Wow.
This is 15 years ago. This was a Black niche, and it was written by Black women for Black women and carried in stores in Black neighborhoods.
How cool is that?
And so you couldn't, as the market grew, you couldn't call them ghetto romances. You called them urban romances.
Okay, that
Okay.
makes sense.
So that's
from
so if
that,
you write
so-
urban fantasy romance, no, you don't.
You don't-
and these are the things that research into your genre will help you
This
with.
is why it matters so much.
Yes.
Very first book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it's a lesbian book, which is actually interesting because they're not LGBTQ books aren't typically mainstream, but there's actually a lot more of them in the urban romance than there
Okay.
is in most mainstream
Okay,
romance.
that makes sense.
So things you didn't know,
Things
right?
you didn't know, but now you do.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The
The more
first
you
book out of there
know. Right,
was,
the more you
was
know.
not mainstream.
Quinny
at
steps
all.
off of her soapbox, and this is why it's important.
All right, are we ready for the next one?
What's the next one?
Next. Okay, I think we're going someplace completely different.
Absolutely, of course we are.
Dun, da-da! Moonshine and Glory.
Ooh,
Well, I can tell you already from the cover that that's a historical romance.
Oh my word. Okay, guys. From the acclaimed author of To Pluck a Rose and Dreamwalker. Who's going for it?
Oh, I think it's my
That
turn
was
on
your
this
turn.
one. Okay, so this is interesting because it actually starts out with like a recommendation blurb from someone named Denise Little, who I'm guessing is another romance author. I don't recognize the name.
Yeah.
The description is a wonderful historical novel that will make you laugh out loud and break your heart, sometimes all on the same page. Beginning with a shotgun wedding in Virginia at the end of the Revolutionary War, Moonshine and Glory traces the destinies of two prominent families, the Custuses and the Latimers. Strong men and independent women, they are some of the most colorful and fascinating characters you'd ever want to meet.
Take off of Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, probably. And this kind of thing, the whole family saga, I feel was very popular and common at one time. I don't know if it still is because I haven't been reading the genre enough.
North and South.
Yeah,
The
no, I know
television
about North and
series,
South.
yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. It was a book series too. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the family saga thing is very much a thing in romance, because it gives you built-in sequels.
Yes.
Because the thing about romance is, people want to, when someone has their happy ending, you're not allowed to take it away.
Right.
The couple finishes, they get their happy ending, and if you see them again in another novel, they are still happy. They are the couple that's been there, that's done that. So the next book is their brother or their sister or their best friend, and you follow the family line. So you get people like Catherine Coulter who have.
Catherine Coulter was my guilty pleasure when I was a teenager. So
absolutely.
Linda Hamilton did family series a lot.
Yeah.
So did Elizabeth Lowell. She
Nora
built
Roberts.
those. Nora
Yes.
Roberts, champion of doing that.
Yes.
Well,
Right?
my favorite for Catherine Coulter is she starts, back in, just before the Napoleonic Wars, and goes to, I stopped reading when she got to 1920s in America.
yeah.
And she has the sagas where they're coming across the ocean and all that, which is so much fun.
I will admit, and I actually got into an argument about this a while back with another author. I actually like the long-running interconnected series especially when I'm talking about my brain candy books.
Right.
Because I don't want the sad. I want the happy.
Right.
And if you're talking about a generational family saga where inevitably there's aging and death, but it happens.
Thornbirds.
It happens discreetly away from the reader. So because sometimes with romance you want to have a little cry with it because it's very cathartic. But more often you just want that happy. That's the endorphins that your body's craving.
And then you get the matriarch who's been meddling in like the last
I
2 generations
love
worth of stuff, and then she finally dies, and then like her will brings together like the next 4 couples,
Right.
Because she's still meddling because she can't let go
From a distance.
and it's like
from across the ghost divide.
right.
You know,
And it's
in a nice way and not a
Yeah.
mean way, like you will find in some
Grandma
other kinds
reveals
of
all the
books.
family secrets, so all the lovers
Right.
who never got together could finally be together.
Like I lent this to a best friend and we lost touch, and I, you have to go find whatever happened to blah 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 thing. And oh
or
my
her
gosh,
journal.
yes,
Yes. So
I mean, they're so
All the family
improbable,
secrets.
but they're so satisfying.
They
I was gonna
are.
say, so wow, that's a jump between these
Right?
two, right?
Yeah.
So 2 completely different, very different tropes.
Very different tropes.
This is a very
Yes.
traditional one that we've
It
seen
is.
tons and tons of.
Right.
So
And it gives you that happy sigh. You're like, oh, it's gonna be this kind of story. You know, it's gonna be
And,
dated
oh
to like.
God, have I seen that font everywhere?
Right, oh yes, that's font.
And again,
is,
with what I was talking about, the difference in the fonts.
yes,
If you look at these 2 books side by side, those 2 fonts are totally not related in so many ways artistically, but you can just tell at a glance
Right.
that one of these things is not like the other.
Oh boy,
but
that
they
was
both
fun.
take place in the same area of the country.
They do.
They do.
They do, interestingly enough.
And that's also a theme, but we'll have to see more before
Right.
we get into that.
Amy's good at packing these. Let's see. What's the next one?
Dun, ta-da! Oh my goodness. We have the best-selling author of Aspen, Lynn Erickson. Her name is bigger than everything else.
Okay, that's a deliberate marketing thing.
Night
Making the name
Whispers.
really big like that tells you that the author is well known, which is
Has
something
a
that
following.
readers look for because that means
Gets
that
it. She'll take that one. Okay.
she'll take that one. So I'm going to say, based on the fact that that's a very similar iconographic cover to Moonshine and Glory that we just did,
That was
that
94.
it's probably also a historical romance.
Oh, you want to read the back? Find out?
Might be. So what I'm seeing on the cover though is I'm seeing broken pieces, and they've
and that's a hint too.
they've hinted that they've deliberately made the stuff on the cover broken.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
The Prey.
Oh,
Ooh.
Anna
we're doing
Dunning.
mystery romance.
Anna Dunning is walking a fine line between security and mind-numbing terror. The phone calls are becoming more frequent. A stranger whispering horrible, obscene promises. She knows he's watching her, stalking her, and he's getting closer. Close enough to touch her, to hurt her, to kill her. Okay. The Protector. Mark Ryder.
How is that spelled?
Righther.
Yeah, there's no trope there.
No, not at all.
I thought you said writer, but that was
Right?
Sorry.
Mark Ryder
Uh-huh.
is her shield.
Of
A
course
tough-
he is.
A tough ex-homicide cop who left the force with a shattered reputation and a dangerous attitude.
Damaged hero.
He's been hired by Anna's brother to protect her. As proud, stubborn, and impossible as the woman is, Ryder needs the job.
This is why I have trouble reading romances sometimes because I'm sure that
Captain Obvious.
We are not being subtle with the names
No.
of this book.
my
No,
gosh,
okay.
no. And this is a whole other genre, which
Right.
is the mystery romances, or in this case, more, I think, thriller romance.
Headstrong
in there as
woman.
well.
Damaged. Damaged
hero.
hero.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the classic damsel in distress, if you
And
break
damsel
it down.
in distress.
right?
Yeah.
So, and
Wow.
this kind of evolved out of the Gothic novels.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It definitely has that feel. So, is there more interesting prose?
There's one more.
Oh.
The Hunter. The Hunter watches and waits for the chance to snatch Anna from the arms of this interloper and finally make her his own. Stalker ex-boyfriend, probably.
Stalker ex-boyfriend who's
Probably.
got mental issues or something, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is, I mean...
boy, that one I've read 300 times.
Right? And it's an, oh yeah. It's like, I totally get this. Let's see.
Okay,
I have to see what,
Now she's looking at the copyright date.
yep.
when?
The next book is spring 1998. So this is 1997. Yeah, this is totally a 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
very
And that's the-
common.
and that's-
Single white female.
Single white
Right.
female.
And that's the other thing about romance, is that you can actually break it down into very specific, clear genre
Oh yeah,
decades.
Mm-hmm.
And 90s romances were a whole
Well, they
thing.
started historical, and then they went into the,
Yeah, and
you
then-
can see some authors transition from the
Oh, yeah.
historical family dramas to these.
And
Yeah.
if we're
So-
lucky enough to get an 80s romance in here, oh boy.
Next.
Next.
Well, this one's
Okay.
different. Ta-da! Robin Wells.
Oh,
Ooh la la!
Oh, wow, that's a fun
la.
cover.
I recognize. Okay, so I recognize the imprint on the side.
Okay,
So I'll let you do this one.
okay. Love spell. Yeah, you have to read the
cover,
back.
The cover on this is fun because that is very 2D comic, which I tend to associate more with comedy.
Love Spell. Love Spell was one of my favorite imprints for the
Really?
longest
Okay.
time.
So the imprint here is Love Spell. Red lights, camera, action. Kate Matthews was a professor of history, a straight shooter. I have to wonder if they actually mean shooter then. And the preeminent expert on Storyville, New Orleans' red light district.
Oh boy.
It made sense that she'd be the historical consultant for the new picture being shot on location there. So why was its director being so difficult? Was it because he'd been a child actor and was used to getting his way? She doubted that. His last flick had flopped. And he'd been counting on this one to resurrect his career. Maybe it was because he was so handsome. He was probably used
He's
to
so
getting women to
handsome.
do as he wished, and now he wanted her to loosen up, to take a note from the city they were in, from the red light district itself. Questionable. But Kate knew that accuracy was crucial to the story Zach Jackson was filming, and finding love in the Big Easy was anything but. No, there would be no lights, no cameras, and certainly no action until he proved her wrong. Then it'd be a blockbuster of a
Jackson.
show.
Action Jackson.
Oh my lord.
That is a romantic comedy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the cover
rom-com.
it says that through and
the
through.
cover
Yeah.
says comedy immediately
It really does.
because and that's still the case for cover design. Is if I were being asked to do a cover for a book that is comedic, I'm going to go for this flat, very
The bright
cartoony,
colors,
the
yeah.
bright colors, and that actually holds true for cozy mysteries, not just romances.
Well, this
And
also
the thing is, with Love Spell, and it's because of the imprint, there's either a ghost or there's some kind of magic happening
I
on
wondered
set.
about that with the spell.
It's because they do Love Spell is always paranormal romance in some fashion.
really. So
Yeah.
I have
There's
the
not a hint
character.
of that in the blurb.
There isn't.
No, but the director being Jackson, who says
Yeah.
action all the time.
Yep.
Action Jackson. Then you've got stuffy, has to be a certain way kind of person. And I mean, hello.
Yeah.
This is smart girl with rake.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And then something weird happens.
And there's so many things. And given that they're in the red light district, what
Red
are
Light
the odds
District in
of...
New Orleans.
In
yeah,
New Orleans.
in New Orleans.
Yeah.
right?
So there's probably either a ghost or some kind of spell going on.
Right.
And it doesn't tell you that in the blurb. There's no.
And the copyright on that is 2002.
2002.
Yep.
So, yeah, so we've hit some decades here.
Yeah. for
Well, that
sure.
one's interesting.
Right. And the thing is, like, you won't know it in the blurb because they were really low key about paranormal romance, like
Really?
in a lot of things.
I wonder if
Well, it's like
because
True
it
Blood,
wasn't...
Charlene Harris
Yeah.
with her things, which was
Yeah.
totally paranormal and completely off its
Right.
rocker. And
But it was and had the comic 2D
Yeah.
covers.
Mhm.
But she didn't. It wasn't marketed as romance. It was
No.
marketed as something else.
whole different
until-
else, yeah.
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 Fascinating.
Are we ready for another?
Dun, dun, dun. Oh. This one's completely different. I need a shreve.
Oh, that's interesting.
This
But-
has a very European feel.
Yeah.
All
right.
So what do you guys
I'll
think?
take this one.
Oh, she wants
All
that
right.
one.
Let's
She
see.
wants it. Just from the cover, I'm going with it's set contemporary,
It's
but the fact that they've chopped her head off is a really interesting artistic choice there.
so it's called All He Ever Wanted, and I'm guessing, looking at this, we're looking at Woman in Peril.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
Okay.
The blurry, the chop the head off, that's very...
Right.
It has,
Okay,
Well, the red
it's-
too for when. Okay.
There's no so there's no blurb in the back. It's only reviews.
Oh.
A man's obsession with his young wife begins the moment they first meet, as he helps her escape from a hotel fire and culminates in marriage doomed by secrets and betrayal.
Ooh.
Written with the intelligence and grace that are hallmarks of Anita Shreve's best-selling novels, this gripping tale of desire, jealousy, and loss is peopled by unforgettable characters as real as the emotions that bring them together. So this is less
That one's a bit less
romance
of a romance
and more...
That one's deliberately
That's
marketed
a-
as not romance,
Right.
Yeah.
as novel.
Right.
I'm gonna guess it's what they're now marketing as a psychological or what is that? There's a new term for it. Basically, it's basically female in danger,
Yeah.
but it's like women's psychological thriller or something like that.
Yeah, it's chick lit without being...
It's dramatic.
It's dramatic chick lit, essentially.
Yeah, chick lit is usually.
Sorry, I thought of gum. So
I know.
And that's exactly what they want you to think when they say chick lit, too.
Yeah,
Which is so
right.
irritating.
Chick literature is
'Cause it's-
usually light, happy, and funny, kind of
Right.
the beach reads thing.
this sounds like a book for somebody who's going on a cruise by themselves.
This,
Yes.
And
It's-
yeah,
this is Mary Higgins Clark.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so several of her other books have been selections of Oprah's book club.
Well,
So this is female literature.
Mm.
you
um,
you read it on the cruise deck, so everybody knows you're reading one of those books.
Exactly. It's got all the romance beats in it, but it's not that dirty romance. So you can feel
Yeah.
good about reading
Yeah.
it.
And the endings are usually pretty twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not happy because probably read by unhappy women.
Yeah.
So,
pretty much.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it might be good.
Actually, let me correct that. It's not that it's read by unhappy women. It's read by women that are in perfectly smooth, normal, placid lives.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's Mary
Yeah.
Higgins Clark. It comes from the
right, true.
Gothics. It's people
an
that
adventure.
right. It's that twist of
Want some
danger
mystery in my
and
life.
right.
and
That's
they
exactly
want
what
to
it
hit the
is.
romance beats, but they don't want to read romance because they don't want to upset the whatever equilibrium they
They
found
have
in
managed to
their
reach,
marriage.
Where they
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's less of
Interesting.
a threat to their.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we might have opinions and thoughts on some of these.
Yeah,
That's
Okay,
like
I can,
do we
those
not?
5 books are like all over the map.
We-
Which
So-
is the fascinating thing about romance
Mm-hmm.
is most people assume, oh, it's romance, it's this monolithic block, and that is so far from the case. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Okay, she really thought about this bag.
She did. Uh-oh.
Da-da-da! Sandra Hill. Kiss of Wrath.
Yes! Oh, sorry.
Okay,
I know what this one's
You know
about.
this one? Okay, so like, one more time on the guy. It's, okay.
Is that a mullet?
Yes.
He's got
I
a
will tell
mullet.
you, I am a fan of
He's
Sandra
got
Hill.
an 8-pack.
I have read, not everything Sandra Hill wrote, but I read like
Hey, they
a
didn't chop
lot.
his head off, at least.
Oh,
poor
honey.
guys.
So, okay, so
So, yeah,
okay.
it's definitely Avon Paranormal Romance. I mean, we
Nobody's
can tell that
nobody's
from the
looking at
cover.
his face. They're looking at the.
It's the Angels of Sin. So he's an angel.
Yeah, it's the latest in Sandra Hill's best-selling Deadly Angels series.
Is he a motorcycle rider?
No,
Sorry. Go ahead. I'll read.
No wicked wenches or wild rampages. It's been centuries since Mordor the Berserker was turned into a Vangel, a Viking vampire angel. Try to say that 10 times fast.
Do that again.
A Viking
Vampire
vampire angel.
angel.
As punishment for his sin of wrath.
Wow, could you hit all the notes? Could you hit all the notes in one character? It's like,
So she has a whole Vikings series.
oh my god,
That some of
the
them-
Viking
this is one of
vampire angel.
Yes.
I
Okay,
mean,
so her,
this
she
is
has
like every woman's
Oh, no.
fantasy rolled
She
into
has
one.
weight.
No wonder
Oh
he's
my
got
God.
an 8-pack. The
Wait,
guy's
it
getting
gets-
some exercise.
It gets better.
Okay.
It's not so bad being stuck in modern-day Las Vegas. What better place to slay lucifers or demon vampires than the original Sin City? But then Mordred Sigurdsson's mission is expanded to a new assignment.
Wait, no. His
Sigurd's-
name is Mordred.
Mordor. Mordr.
Mordor.
Mordred.
Sigurdsson.
Sigurdsson. A name you can say when you're throwing up. As all good Viking names are. Mordred.
It gets better.
Okay, keep going.
To protect lust-worthy Miranda Hart, Miranda's well-ordered life turned into chaos when she unexpectedly inherited her late cousin's 5 children. Now her cousin's
How do you inherit children?
5 of them.
5 of them.
I mean, this poor woman, I think she probably needs the guy with the 8-pack just to keep up with the kids. Now her cousin's dangerous husband is about to be paroled and she needs a miracle to keep them all safe. That miracle arrives on her doorstep in the form of a very buff, handsome man with a very strange name. Mortar wants nothing to do with a red-haired wench or children. Miranda wants nothing to do with a gorgeous hunk who claims to be a Viking.
Damsel in distress.
Yep. As
Fractured
Miranda
and
Mortar,
broken hero.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Headstrong
like
woman.
all of the and the children. Don't forget the Muppets.
All 3 fantasies rolled into one.
So I saw Sandra Hill, and I have to say, they're really well written. Like,
I'm
that's
sure
so
you
terrible.
love them this much because I know.
Oh
I mean,
my
it's like,
god! Like, so
how did I miss
They're
these?
fantastic, but I'm
oh my
just
god!
laughing.
So I haven't. And oh yeah,
I'm
her
sorry.
books are from
No,
Lindsay
no.
Sands. Yeah.
Just this one sentence. Her ass sat on his lap.
All by itself, without her. Shades of Eye of Argon.
It's probably not the
Unless
best thing
it was
to
her worst. Did she have a donkey?
Just that one sentence.
I mean, she
jumped
does
out
live
at
in
me.
Las Vegas.
She does. She might have a donkey. It's oh my god! I'll bet he rides a motorcycle. I will bet you he rides a motorcycle.
I would not take that bet.
Okay,
All the
so
other tropes shoved into that.
no, wait. I was just gonna say. Okay, so here's the thing.
Mhm.
You know, we do live in a society where saturation gets reached to a certain point,
Right.
right? And
Oh,
a light,
yeah, the
fluffy
copyright.
early '80s
Right.
only needs 1 or 2 tropes,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But if you've been consuming them for 40 years,
You have a
Exactly.
bowl
You have-
full of tropes on slips of paper
Yes.
in the middle of the table, and you
Yes.
just keep drawing them.
2010, 2012.
2014.
Oh,
So really, it makes sense that the updated version of the flawed hero,
Mm-hmm.
how much more flawed can you get
Yep.
than a Viking
Mhm.
vampire angel with a name you can say when you're throwing up because you're in Las Vegas. God knows they drink. And the headstrong woman
Mhm.
who apparently has a donkey.
So I will
5
guarantee you.
inherited children. Because you get those in wills. But I can get that why it would it's like clothing.
Mhm.
You know, clothing gets more extreme
Yeah.
until it, you know, you just keep adding more. Like
Until
bell bottoms got really,
suddenly-
really wide until everybody got tired of them. Then you went back to something simple.
Right.
until
Right?
suddenly there's women walking down the runway wearing bin bags.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So this is essentially the fashion version of that.
Yeah. And that's
Right.
what it does.
Yeah.
Is- and
so this is the
especially
fashion
since-
version of mom jeans to low rise.
Mhm.
So
Well, so she's been writing Vikings forever.
I know there's a huge
It's-
list.
Oh yeah, so like she has the historical Vikings and then she has the time travel Vikings. There was one where it's actually the Viking was sent forward into the modern like early 2000s, and they gets sent to a psychiatric hospital because he keeps insisting that he's a Viking.
He just needs to go to an SCA then.
Well, then he ends up in the PTSD group
Well, of course he would.
talking to a bunch of other
See,
yeah.
right?
Well, and he's trying to convince people like I really am like a Viking and I'd like to go home now, please. And nobody believes him because you're a time traveling Viking. Of course, nobody believes you.
And Viking being a verb, I suppose they have lots of energy.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, he does.
Alrighty then.
Okay, I was a fan of this one, but no, it's some of her prose is like so over the top, but it's perfect for romance.
Her ass
Their
sat on
ass.
his lap.
But they're fun, and it's you follow the tortured hero and the headstrong woman
Yes.
because nobody wants a limp
No,
wash rag.
no, that's true. That is true. Nobody wants to read that, and nobody wants to write that either.
No.
Okay.
So, okay, moving on.
Wow.
So yeah, I would say Sandra Hill
Amy
definitely
has outdone
recommend.
herself with
Yes.
this one.
We'll just like pick the next one and see what we get.
I
Right?
take that home and read that because
Oh my god. Not related to Kelly. Utterly Charming by Christine Grayson.
Oh, I mean, we're back to the rom-com again with
Yep.
that cover.
Uh-huh.
love
Zebra.
spell.
Zebra. Oh my god, Zebra contemporary romance.
And also this font.
Okay.
I mean,
I
can
love
we
that.
just
Oh, it's almost
talk
Comic Sans on the back.
about the font? That is so curly swirly
It's so
that it's
cute.
almost unreadable.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I see
This one
Karen's
is your
reading
blurb to read.
All right.
at Starbucks. So
Yes, Karen's at Starbucks. Okay, so we're already going places with this book.
Oh my god. A Day in the Life of Nora Barr, Esquire.
what?
Dear Diary, I can't believe the day I've had. Just when I finally get a client, he turns out to be a nutcase. Not only has he been arrested for torching a neighborhood, he also claims to be the magician who knocked out the Sleeping Beauty 1,000 years ago. Is this guy for real or what? Okay, I have to admit, he is the most gorgeous man I've ever laid eyes on. Oh, and did I mention he has a smile to die for? Pinch me if I'm dreaming, but I think my Prince Charming has finally arrived.
I do not want anything to do with
Paranormal rom-com.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
so this
paranormal
has-
rom-com,
This
obviously,
has
but
Instagram
also
and Twitter
is she
written all over it.
12? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I am dead. D-E-D, dead.
Yep.
All right, there's a Graham Norton moment written all over this. So,
Oh, yeah, but Christine Grayson, I've actually read some first.
of course you have.
I've read everything.
Research.
I haven't, but it's, yeah, so this is from 2000, so we're looking
So
at,
it's ahead of that one.
it's ahead of that one.
yeah.
But this is the Sandra Hill one. Who reads
Yeah.
those compared to who reads those?
well,
So-
okay, I mean, just if you look at the covers side by side, we're looking at one of these is like candy, and the other one is dark chocolate.
Dark
Yeah.
chocolate. Oh, honey, he's a drink with no rocks.
Mm-hmm.
You take that man straight.
Yes.
So,
But,
and this one's not dating. I wouldn't go anywhere near somebody like
right,
that.
the Frothy Frappuccino. The thing is, though, like,
Frothy Frappuccino.
I
Yes.
read both of them because
Yes.
depending on
Well,
what I
yeah,
was
your
feeling,
mood,
because
yeah.
because these are ridiculously just oh my god,
See, I wouldn't be able to,
right?
just from the blurb, I'm like, too stupid to live. Somebody please take a stake through their heart.
This
Also,
is
Esquire, not to mention
she's a
that
lawyer.
font. Oh my God.
The font on the back.
The
is
font on the back.
horrifying.
it's awful. Look at that.
Here on to the side.
It's terrible.
Look at this font. We'll get up
Yeah.
close and
Is she
personal.
12?
And honestly, that's how she's going to come across because she's it's yeah.
But it's
You're right.
fantastic marketing.
It's one of those
because
ones-
I would know immediately that I wouldn't want to
Right.
spend any money on
It's
that.
one of the ones that I would pick up, and if I didn't at least start crying, laughing halfway through, I would be disappointed because that would be the point.
Right,
Is laughing,
right.
laughing until you hurt yourself
It's
because
light
it's
and
dumb.
silly and
Right.
not
Yeah.
anything like the woman I am.
Yeah.
So I know women who would read that.
Mhm.
I'm not one of them.
No, it's and it wouldn't. I wouldn't think it would appeal to you, but it's
Not
sort of like
no.
even.
yeah.
It would be like reading about aliens. Because that's more alien than her aliens.
Uh-huh.
Okay, moving on.
Part of it is
Palette
I
cleanser.
don't understand women like that because I am
Right.
not anything. I
Alien.
never have been like totally alien. So. Whoa. Oh. Okay. This is different. Better than chocolate
Huh.
with a cherry on the front.
Which, I mean, that bit of iconography makes me think that that one's probably spicy. Also better than chocolate, but
Who's going for it?
I think this one's mine.
Okay.
Be careful what you wish for. Okay, what are we? We're
How
looking
often
at
do they start
Harper-
with that?
Harper Torch is the imprint. And food writer Annie Wilkins is on an express elevator to fame and fortune, thanks to research scientist husband Tom's remarkable invention. Fat-free, carb-free, calorie-free chocolate that tastes better than the real thing.
Well, now we've entered into science fiction.
Right? And fantasy, and
Of course, that is a fantasy
It
of
is a
most
fantasy,
women.
yeah.
You know, it's like I want to be able to eat all the chocolate I want.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can I?
once reduced to
She wants to say
writing...
something.
Nope.
Okay.
Once reduced to writing walleye on a stick articles for Minnesota menus. Walleye on a stick, if you cooked it, would fall apart and fall off the stick.
Okay.
Now she's living large in showcase houses and hobnobbing with the hoi polloi. Annie and America's sexiest scientist. Tom happily accept their new status as the nation's most happening fabulous couple. But as a high-profile spokesperson, Annie's got a corporate responsibility to change her hair, her style, and lose 25 pounds. Her kids are becoming too worldly, too fast, and Tom's in demand for a lot more than just his candy. If this is the American dream, Annie needs to wake up, because all of a sudden her marriage and her sanity are in jeopardy, and she's about to bottom out on top.
This is chocolate.
That is definitely chicklet. That is
This is
romance.
chicklet.
That is romance from the inside out, because
Yep.
that is definitely a trope, which is taking your marriage, reclaiming your marriage, and I'm sure that there's a happily ever after at the end of this one, unlike the other one with the all he ever wanted.
Every mom can identify with having a life that's out of control.
Yeah.
You know, so
And it's reclaiming your marriage, and it's you've hit the pinnacle,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden everything's changing around you, and so this is
your husband look hot and you don't.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got a bunch of kids,
Mhm.
and you have to do all this crap you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And it's obviously written with intending to be funny at the same time of she's trying to fight through these difficulties.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for 2005.
Yeah. So that's marketed as romance, but that's chicklet, and that's a feel good book for women.
Yeah.
Like absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is one that'll make you laugh and make you cheer on the wife that's trying to reconnect with her husband.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who feels like this. Somebody wrote a book about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So that early 2000s where you were taught to believe that you could have it all and everything, and if your hair's not right. And,
in 2005, before 2008, it was very much a surrogate of success.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Interesting, that one.
Yeah.
And get romance.
And
Right.
Well, marketed to the romance readers, because people who like romance will like that, and a lot of them will need something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the description? Okay.
I did.
Or the dedication?
No.
Oh, what's dedication?
And this one is great. For Elsa Lindquist Wagner, who believed every 4-year-old should have a library card.
Oh!
So, I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. That's awesome.
Okay, so this is like, everyone I pull out is radically different than the one before.
Of course.
Country Sunshine. Oh boy, look at that
goodness.
one. Teresa Warfield, national bestseller of Prairie Dreams, romance from the heart of America.
Oh.
Which is okay. That cover's got weird signals because, it's your turn. But that cover's giving me weird signals because it's got that flat cartoony, so it should be comedy.
It feels church.
Feels like it should be some kind of a Christian romance.
Who's the imprint?
Diamond Homespun historical romance.
Oh boy.
So it's not Amish
Homespun
romance,
is
but it's
interesting.
this is a Western romance, but not like Western romance.
Right, I was going to say more like Midwestern romance from the sounds of
Yeah.
it. So
that is so.
I'm getting all kinds of weird mixed messages from that cover,
And
so
you should
now
be,
I'm
because I know
curious.
exactly. I know exactly where this is set. And it's,
Okay.
Okay.
it's not a popular. It's interesting. The Price of Falling in Love. Caroline. The small farm she shared with her mother and grandfather was home sweet home, but to a smooth-talking land developer, it was prime property.
Oh, ooh.
Are you ready for this? This is why we all know this. We're going to all know these tropes in just a second. Robert. The city slicker had big plans for Dubuque, Iowa. Starting with the hotel he would build on a piece of land owned by Caroline Watson. At first it seemed like a simple enough task. If money didn't persuade the Watson woman, he'd charm her into selling her land. But he's fooled by his own game when his heart is touched by her sweet beauty, her unsinkable spirit, and her tender care for a runaway boy. Soon his grand schemes give way to a simple dream of a country house where his life with Caroline would take root. But would she ever believe it was her that he wanted, and not her land?
Oh.
That is a Hallmark movie.
It is a Hallmark movie.
That is a Hallmark
Not
movie.
just a Hallmark movie. It's like, convert the bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's clean, convert the bad boy.
Yep.
Right. Right.
Because your sheer goodness will convert the bad man and recognize your values.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
this is more fantasy than the Viking one.
Yes.
From 1994.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Again, with the 90s romance, it was this whole thing.
Well, and there was that whole stretch in there in the early 90s of, we just come off all the Miami Vice, Bad Boys, and all the stuff from the 80s, and, you know,
What
it
a
was
clean, wholesome romance.
wholesome romance of you know, the center of the country still has good values, and you know, and so
Yeah.
And romance as a genre was starting to slide a lot more towards the steamy, spicy.
oh yeah, there was a ton of
lots
steamy
of
right before
sex,
that. So
but there were still women that did not want that in their
No.
romance. They wanted their romances to be sweet and wholesome.
this is updated
wholesome.
Regency.
Yes, it is.
It is updated Regency and also Grace Livingston Hill.
Oh yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
And who was big at the time and was almost totally forgotten. I just recently discovered her myself, but Grace Richmond. And I actually like Grace Richmond's stuff better than Grace Livingston Hill, even though Grace Livingston Hill, I grew up with a lot of those because my mom had them.
Yeah.
But Grace Richmond's stuff is better written.
Yeah.
Less sermon in the book.
Yeah. So
But
that's,
yeah, that kind of thing is exactly where this is coming
This
from.
is the Hallmark movie book. That this would make they could pull it.
Oh,
They
like
probably
tomorrow.
already have.
Probably
They already have
yeah.
like 20 times. So
Because it's the same plot.
it's
It's the same plot.
over and over again. Country values.
Which is reassuring, and that's why romance readers like this. And
Yes.
that's why we can look at the covers and almost immediately say, okay, that's what's in there. Because that's what
And
the
that's,
romance reader
I gotta
wants.
tell you, that is brilliant cover marketing.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we didn't have internet then. It was
Right.
all based on what that cover said to you.
And you know exactly what you're getting with this book.
Right.
You
There's
don't.
a farm.
You don't even you may not know exactly, but this picture tells you exactly where this book is.
Yeah.
That and the fact that the book originally cost $3.74.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah, let's talk about book prices.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Let's see what we have next.
I saw the author.
Linda Castillo, A Whisper in the Dark. Wow, there's a slingshot from
Right.
one kind to another. So, okay. Who's going for it?
That is a very muddy cover. I
It
mean,
is.
literally. The art on this has like this really heavy texture
It
overlay.
feels like it's faded a little bit too.
I think it's supposed to feel like it's faded because the whole book is kind of like that. So I think it's actually a design choice, which again makes me think that this might have some damsel in distress, woman in danger in it because they tend to do that.
Chicklet,
So
maybe.
This is Berkeley Sensation.
this is
for the
Berkeley
author.
Sensation,
Okay.
romantic suspense. So
Ooh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Women in danger.
There we
Woman
go.
in danger. Maybe.
Maybe.
Until now, no one has suspected the truth about down-to-earth bookseller Julia Wainwright. But the arrival of 6 threatening letters indicates someone has discovered her secret and wants her to pay for her sins. Ever since he accidentally killed a fellow officer, ex-cop John Merrick has been
Damaged hero.
tormented.
Damaged hero.
By the mistakes of his past. Now, called on to repay a favor, he will do anything to keep Julia Wainwright safe. To do that, though, he'll first have to figure out what she's hiding. As the threats escalate, Julia and John must find a way to trust each other, because if they don't, a twisted stalker will make sure all the gruesome things he's promised will come true.
And we have trope repeat.
Yep.
Yep. And because that is the damaged hero, the damsel in distress,
With a secret.
With the secret.
with a secret,
And his crazy stalker.
And a crazy,
and a crazy
stalker.
stalker. These are all very consistent, very repeated, and very repeatable because they're huge. They sell really, really well.
Well, that's
I'm not
great.
sure I could write one with a straight face, but
I'd laugh every time.
right.
Which
I couldn't write one with a straight face, which would come through and make it into something different.
it would. So there was a series of books, and
There's
one
a
of
twisted trope.
Oh yeah, no.
Waiting to happen.
Right.
Yes.
Which has probably been done.
There was a series of James Bond knockoffs that were, well, my favorite one is from Boardwalk with Love, and the name of the author was Nina Bangs. Yes, and she's actually she did one of my favorite Shifter series, which is actually angels who came down to Earth to protect the Earth, and they landed in the forms of what was the main dominant species of the time, which was dinosaurs.
Okay, we're not doing Chuck Tingle. Let's do another book.
But it was
Tiny T-Rex arms.
it's funny.
Completely
It's so funny.
unsatisfied Tyrannosaur because short.
But the thing is, it's like it's the they take the suspense, and it's for with people who cannot write it with a straight face. It's entirely tongue in cheek, and it comes across, and it's funny as long as you embrace it.
Yes.
It's if I tried to write this with a straight face and try to play it straight, nobody would buy it.
To throw back to one of our very early episodes, shifter cuttlefish. You have to embrace
this
because he's got a lot of little.
It's like I can't read. I actually cannot read this.
I really have to wonder.
This
You remember the fish when we went to dinner that Bart showed us on the wall?
Yes.
If that shifted, obviously orthodontia is required.
Oh. So on the last field trip I took for Texas Master Naturalists, one of the fish that we caught during the survey was a short-nosed gar. And I got a close-up picture of this short-nosed gar, and he's got little teeth hanging over his underjaw, and he's very derpy close
He
up.
doesn't overbite.
Yes.
So when that one shifts, he does not become the handsome boy. Oh my god. Classic. Oh my god. Stephanie Mittman. Sweeter than wine.
Oh. That's gotta be historical romance.
Yes.
Author of The Marriage Bed. This is the Frame series years.
Yep.
You know?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay.
I had to do a cover one time. It was in the brief. She made me do it. I had to put a cover and do an image in a frame, and I was like, "You're signaling the wrong thing."
Yeah, this is so classic early
This is so
romance.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, so and it's the white shirt and the flowing hair in the wind.
Oh, I love it.
It's got all the class, and she's wearing a skirt.
Okay, where
And,
do you think it's set?
England.
Oh my gosh, those.
Or it's on a genteel farm.
I'm actually gonna go somewhere and go. It's in the deep south.
Sweeter than wine.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He had been waiting to follow his dreams. Ethan Morrow had no intention of staying in the small Ohio town forever. He'd worked, saved, and planned, and now nothing would stop him from leaving. Not even a beautiful woman with corn silk hair and sparkling blue eyes, or her darling child.
There's a child.
But just as he looked over his shoulder to wave goodbye to the town that had been his home forever, he stumbled onto his destiny.
Oh my god, she tripped him.
And beat him to the floor. Sorry. She'd been searching for a knight in shining armor. Sterling Phillips wanted to be left alone with her son and her secrets. Sterling. Why would he be a woman? Anyways, I'm not gonna think Sterling
Especially in
Archer.
a historical era.
Right. In her uncle's mansion, she tried to hide from her past as well as her future, weaving together fairy tales for her son about a great knight who happened to bear a striking resemblance to the handsome Mr. Morrow. But when the boy stepped into the path of Ian Morrow's horse, she knew their lives would never be the same again. What they found was sweeter than wine.
Okay, so the plot moppet
Plot moppet.
is a thing.
It is.
And in this case, a very physical obstacle to being trampled under a horse's hoof, which, let me tell you, is fatal in a lot of cases. So usually not the good basis for a romance that's going to last, or, well, even start.
Well, okay, what'd you find?
You opened it
I opened it too. In the silence, he searched for a way to reach her. You grow peonies too, like Princess Sugarlips, don't you? The front yard was filled with lavender ones and pink ones and white ones with deep purple edges, and he'd bet she'd been the one to plant them there for her aunt. Princess Sugarlips is a type of flower. What's the name of the flower?
I know.
Well, I got that, but peonies don't come in purple, but that's just, I mean, don't let me get in the way of
Right, they don't. And I'm sitting here going, because like the first thing I open is Princess Sugarlips. Excuse you?
What I do very often with books like this, and this one doesn't have it, but I look for the page corners that are turned down.
Yep.
Oh.
Because you know that's the
Because
good
that'll
spot.
tell you where that's the
Or
good
like,
spot
or
of the
hold
book.
the book open and see where the broken.
That's where the spine is broken.
Oh my God. It hurt. It hurt so bad that she wanted to scream and cry and bang her fists until they bled. Her baby had no idea that he might not get well. When, he asked her, when can I get up and play?
Plot
Plot
Muppet.
Muppet.
Plot Muppet. So, okay.
Moving on.
Year?
Oh yes, please, year, because I'm guessing early 90s.
Not 97.
97, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Classic frame.
Yep.
Yeah, and that will tell
And of
you
an
so
era.
much about what's in that book.
Oh my
Yep.
Lord. Drama.
Princess Sugar Lips. I need to put that in a book now.
You do. You do. Okay, we now have Robin Lee Hatcher in his arms.
Oh.
So,
So one thing I can immediately tell you about that cover is that the reason that they've used that cover is it was cheaper than using one with an actual model. Because this is stock art that's put together with very little time and effort, and they probably paid about $75 for it.
this is Harper, and it's also, she's a fairly major name. So,
Right, but I mean, I'm just looking at the
I
cover
wonder
and
if
I'm
it's a
going,
reprint.
Oh, it
So,
might
it's
be.
probably a reprint.
maybe a reprint
Yeah.
from a silhouette.
Yeah.
Because very often the silhouette romances, they would be so popular that they would rewrite them into longer
Right.
books
Mm-hmm.
and then publish them like this.
Yeah.
So,
There's several authors who
But
make
that,
names like
that
that.
is
Yeah.
that is a cheap ass cover. Wait, did I do the? No, you did the last one.
Yeah.
Mary Emmeline Malone has long courted trouble. With hopes for a fresh start, she packs up her life in Ireland and makes her way to America. But trouble is only beginning, for desire ignites the moment the tempestuous Mary sees Carson Barclay, the rugged, no-nonsense sheriff of Whistle Creek, Idaho.
okay.
Never
Okay.
has she been so powerfully drawn to a man, or more determined to avoid the passion in his deep blue eyes. For how can Mary give her heart to the very man who could discover her secret past and destroy all she holds dear?
Damaged girl.
Damaged girl. Running from a secret past where she probably killed somebody.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the hero here seems to be fairly straightforward. Rugged, no-nonsense sheriff is not,
Yeah,
he's not
yeah.
a damaged hero, at least.
Damsel in distress.
Mhm.
Shining knight in shining armor.
Mm-hmm.
Knight in shining.
Well, and the whole Irish
Knight in shining badge.
Shining
Yeah.
badge, yeah.
the whole Irish immigrant or any kind of immigrant
Running away from some sort of sordid
Right,
secret
exactly.
or indenture or, ran away from her family so she didn't have to marry somebody.
Right.
Another one that's a big one is mail order brides.
Yeah.
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 So,
Okay.
opening random. That's not so bad.
Well, this woman has won major awards. So
Right. No.
so the writing skill is there.
Yeah.
But it does have the feel of having been done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be...
What was her name was something Malone?
Mary Emmeline Malone.
Okay, let's think with Molly.
Yeah, and Molly would go with the
Yeah.
Does it
Irish.
have a previous publication date?
That's what I am looking for. 1998, and it's not saying. It's saying first printing 1998,
Okay.
and there's actually credit for the cover illustration, so I have probably maligned some poor cover artist.
Oh, did you the dedication though on the
Oh,
side?
yes.
You should read that because I got part of it.
Nope, I've gone too far.
Obviously. We've gone too far.
To my cousin Connie Burke-Bunch, who loves all things Irish, and to Mom, who told me I should use my great-grandmother's name in a book someday. So here is my story about Mary Emmeline Malone from County Armagh, Ireland. I'm hoping you find her perfect altogether.
Oh,
That is
Aw,
actually really sweet.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not seeing anything that's like special or riveting about this, but on the other hand, I would read it because it would be comfortable.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
It
It
has
would be
that
very
like.
comfortable.
yeah.
It has a Saturday afternoon on the porch with your.
I
your
call
tea
these
feel.
I call these bath books.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
they're
bath
books
books.
that I'm not afraid to take into the bathtub. So if I fall asleep in the bath and drop them in the tub with me, I don't care.
Right.
Not that I've ever actually done that, but I'm always worried I'm going to, so I won't take a book in the bathtub that I worry I'm going to get wet.
Oh boy.
So it's
It's very comfortable.
It's very, and
yeah.
you can tell why she won the awards because
It's a comfortable story.
Yeah. I mean, just flipping through it real quick, nothing was jumping out at me that was like wrong. And I'm also going to guess
No
just
ass
based.
sat down on his lap.
The other thing about that was just flipping through it quickly like that. I wasn't seeing allusions to sex or sex scenes, so it's probably a clean romance.
likely
Yeah.
from the 90s. It's 97, right?
Yeah, well, it's also Harper. So
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they didn't do.
And
Right.
going from clean romance to Prince of the Night.
Oh, it's a vampire. There's a lot of neck there.
It's totally a vampire. It's a topaz. Oh my lord, it's a topaz. Even I know what these are about. Here, you get this one.
Yeah, that's definitely a her. In heavens, that's a lot of skin.
Yeah.
He's not wearing a lot there.
Nope. Nope.
A breathtaking vampire romance in the tradition of Linda Leigh Miller.
Oh, okay.
So I
So
know exactly.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So going for the fans of hers. So
Dark Lord. The peasants called him the Count of Albion, and they both feared and revered him. A fighter for Italy's freedom. The mysterious nobleman preferred the night hours to mask his missions and to shroud his tormented soul. Sequestered in the villa called the Three Fountains, he hid his secrets well, until the arrival of a beautiful Englishwoman, Miss Cordelia Hope.
really? Really? Was this pre or post Buffy?
Cordelia faced the cloaked, commanding count at the isolated villa and felt an unbidden flood of desire. Unbidden, irresistibly drawn
Can you
to him.
bid them? I mean, I'd like to know.
She sensed his pain. She sensed his pain,
His pain.
and in all her innocence, craved his touch. He would become her destiny.
Notice she's all in white on the cover.
Virgin. The vampire whose love she was dying to possess. Yeah, so obviously we have a virgin sacrifice to the
Vampire.
To the vampire.
So what is the date on this?
I'm surprised I haven't read this one.
Well, you have it now.
I got it now. I can take it home. Go home and make...
So just so you guys know, Ian has been sitting here the entire time giving us the most amazing faces. And on this one, he's exiting.
It is from 1995.
Mm-hmm.
So
I am going to suggest that we break here and do
Yes.
the second episode, finish up with this bag, and maybe talk about some of the other ones from yesterday. Because we are having a lot of fun with this, but we're at the 1 hour mark.
So we've hit the hour mark of this episode. Open the bag and see what tropes you can find.
So if you enjoyed this, next week there's more.
Thank you very much for joining us
Or
this
the
week.
week after. We're not sure. We may post them in out of order. But
Yeah, that's true.
How to learn about romance tropes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a fun breakdown of what the tropes are, what they mean, where they come from. And,
And how to read these
how
covers.
to read a cover. Why it's
The
important.
history and the myriad subgenres of romance. So
Someone needs
$1 billion
to go,
industry.
understand history and geography better.
also peonies don't come in purple.
Yeah, so we don't even want to get into the description of clothes. Oh my god.
God.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
probably a whole separate rant.
Yeah.
Yes. So
We'll talk to you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed this one.
oh boy.